Hi, everyone. All right, this is going to be quick. I have a flight to go catch. Hang on. I'm not kidding. So I think we've got some slides he's going to try to pull up for me. We were dealing with a slight little tech thing in the back, if we can get them pulled up, just so I can show you some awesome pictures of my wonderful people. Are they behind me yet? My name is Prejean McGrady. I am from the diocese. Oh, there we go. There's my husband. I figured you weren't saying aw because of me. But thank you if you were. That's my incredible husband, Tommy. We've been married for 2 years. He's a teacher. I'm a former teacher, so we have a lot to talk about, along with the fact that we think we're both cute, so it's great. Marriage is awesome. I highly recommend it. And we have a really cute kid. I'm going to throw up a picture of Rose in a moment. There we go. There's my little... That was also the appropriate response. Thank you. What you don't know is that the majority of this talk is just me showing pictures of her. They already handed me my check, so I can do what I want. She looks just like her dad. It's uncanny. The same cheeks, the same eyebrow, like the same brow, whole thing. She looks nothing like me at all. We have the same ears. That's about it. She's the light of my life. She's the funniest little human being. Like, it's so cool. Kids have personality, and like hers is really starting to come out. So if you go, Rose, where's your hair? She touches her hair. She's like a little dog. You can make her perform. Rose, where's your hair? She touches her hair. Rose, where's your nose? She picks your nose. It's great. She says only a few words. Dog is doke, little doke, and she like points at the dog, and then she tries to ride him like a horse. So we're working on that. When she wants, so we've been doing like baby sign language, so she knows more and thank you, and this is milk, which I think is hysterical. Like she's like milking a cow in the air. She's a delight, but she's got this one little thing where she'll like point at something. If you have it and she wants it, she'll point at it, and then she'll point at herself, and she'll go hee hee. Like she like, and literally it's like a hee hee, like a double laugh. Which is like, for me, like I feel like that's what she's saying. So that's how she ended up with my pizza the other day, and I had a turkey wrap and pears for lunch. It was probably better for me that way. But she's just, like when I introduce myself to people now, that's the first thing I want to talk about. Who cares that I've written 2 books? You know, who cares that I travel the world and talk about Jesus? Like, I have a kid. I'm somebody's mom. And it's profound. It's incredible. And like being her mom is so important to who I am. And getting to raise this tiny human and hopefully help her get to heaven is such a gift and a joy and a remarkable opportunity. She turned 1 not long ago. There she is, yeah. Find yourself a kid, or find yourself a person that looks at you the way that baby's looking at that cake. I mean, like, she is going for it. It's the only time she's had refined sugar. It is the last time she has had refined sugar in her life. Celebrating a first birthday is not for the kid. It's for the parent that kept the kid alive for a year and like managed to not fail at keeping a tiny human fed and mostly clothed. The other day, she peed through her diaper when she was sleeping. Rose sleeps, she's the greatest child on the face of the earth. She sleeps 12 hours a night. So I had to like change her first thing in the morning, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like taking off her, and there was pee all the way to the top of her little, and she didn't care, like she was laughing in her own urine, like, what a joy. And I'm like running bath water, because like it smells, and like I don't want her to sit, and she's just having a good old time, and I'm thinking to myself, like, the most virtuous thing I'm gonna do today, nobody is seeing or cares about. But I would do it 1,000 times over. And then she was naked most of the morning other than her diaper, because like at that point, you don't waste clothes when you're about to feed them breakfast. And bananas and avocados get everywhere. So like I wasn't going to ruin an outfit. So I took a little picture of her, and I sent it to my sister, my little sister, who's her godmother. And Laura, who we call Wawa, because some other friends of ours that have kids couldn't say their L's, so now she's Wawa. It's just stuck. It's cute. And so Wawa was like, do we not dress Rose anymore? I'm like, there's only so long in life where you can run around pantsless and shirtless and people say it's cute. After like age 4, the parents are neglectful. And then like after age like 12, we really start worrying about the psychology of the child. And like, yes, that's how we come into the world, but it's not how we should stay in the world. Thank you, Adam and Eve and original sin. So I recently met the Pope. I'm going to show you a picture of him. That was pretty cool. I got to attend the pre-synod in Rome on young people, faith, and vocational discernment. I was one of the 3 young adults chosen by the United States of America. Don't ask me how, still haven't figured out how I got to go. It was like some backroom deal. I must have paid off the right person at some point in life, but I got to spend a week in Rome with the Pope and 300 other young adults and talk about why we aren't going to church, which we're about to get to, and why we need to be, and why the church needs to serve us, and why we're not just supposed to be on the margins of society and we only matter when we start having babies, but like we're relevant for the church now, and we're needed for the church now, and the renewal of the church is going to come through us. So he comes into the room, and if you've ever been around Pope Francis or you've seen videos of Pope Francis, he's the most unassuming man on the face of the planet. You don't even know he's there until you know he's there, other than the fact that he's in white, and he's pretty recognizable. But so the choir, we're in this auditorium, these ugly red chairs, and this choir is up on the stage that we're supposed to sing the Pope in with some Marty Hogan song, I'm sure. They were going to sing the Pope in. And they didn't get to start the song because nobody even realized that he'd walked in. He just passed by all the handlers and went to the guy in the wheelchair and is high-fiving the guy in the wheelchair. And then the guy from Egypt goes and takes a selfie and all mayhem breaks out. And everybody's just crowding Pope Francis. So here he comes down the aisle, shaking hands, smiling. People are giving him presents. And Cardinal Baldessari's a proud dad standing behind him because he's made this young adult gathering happen. And it's remarkable. And I see him coming closer and closer and closer. I'm like, I got to get a photo. How do I get a photo? Do I duck into the aisle? Do I turn around and take the selfie? So I turned around and snapped the selfie. I was pretty proud of it. Got over 2,000 likes on Instagram. That's a good day for me. So I was proud of this photo. And then a week later, I get home. I'm jet lagged, I'm taking a nap, and my husband runs to the bedroom. He goes, babe, you got to see this. I was like, what? Is everything okay? He's like, the Vatican published the official photos of the papal arrival at the pre-Synod. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe there's this really cool picture of me with the Pope. Nope, it's this picture in which my back is turned to the Vicar of Christ. Holy Father, I want to meet you. You're so wonderful. Bless my children and bless my future. Nope, Katie's just, hey guys, the most millennial moment of my life. That literally the successor to Peter is right in front of me and I turned my back. So, there we go. There we go. I love it. It's actually framed in my house as a constant reminder of what I think a lot of life is like for young adults. It's right there. The thing that we desire most, the thing we want most, the place that we're meant to be, and oftentimes we turn our back to just look at ourselves. So I can make a connection to anything, including that really awkward photo. When Pope Francis gathered with us, he said something profound, and I've been telling it to people literally everywhere. Just take a picture of that slide. Don't write it down. Just snap a photo. I'll get out of the way. Young people must be taken seriously. It seems we're surrounded by a culture that on the one hand idolizes youth, thank you Botox, trying to prevent its passing, yet on the other excludes many young people from being protagonists. From being protagonists. And I think we hear the word protagonist and we automatically think English class, the main character who faces conflict, who has that supporting cast of characters, who's not easily forgotten, right? Think of your favorite book. Mine's To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Right? Atticus Finch is the protagonist, as well as Scout. There's 2 protagonists. She shook things up. But if you, what is the concept of a protagonist? It's somebody that's involved, that's the center of the story, that the action revolves around, that does the action, that faces that conflict, that has that supporting cast of characters, that is not easily forgotten. And Pope Francis has summoned us in the tradition of the church. For 2,000 years, we're supposed to have been protagonists. And for some reason, now we actually matter. So that's a good thing. We're alive at a good time. That we are called to be agents within our own journey. Faith doesn't happen to us. The church doesn't exist for us to just show up and sit there and, we get all this really cool knowledge. And then, all right, now back to my normal everyday life. Within the life of the church, we are supposed to matter. And on your own journey of faith, as you walk the road either to or away from Jerusalem, as you journey to understand and unpack and explore truth and beauty and goodness and virtue and strive for holiness, you are on the journey. You. And I think young adults, we do a really good job of being yes, this wonderful journey. And then we forget that our journey, our personal journey is super important. A lot of young adults have like ministry syndrome. I'm one of them. We want to do ministry. We want to like make things happen in the life of the church. Like we want to like companion and accompany other people and like not be accompanied and be companioned ourselves. Or like not be ministered to. Or we say like the church is supposed to do da-da-da-da-da, and we wait for somebody else to do it when like, hello, you could go do it. Invited and called forth to be protagonists of our journey. He continues, he goes on to say, in the church, there's a cute little click. In the church, I'm convinced it should not be this way, the marginalization of young people, closing the door without listening. The gospel asks us, its message of closeness invites us to encounter and to exchange, to accept and to love each other seriously, to journey together and to share without fear. Here's the money line. If you are not present, then a part of the access to God is missing in the life of the church. 14% of millennial Catholics go to Mass on Sunday. 14% go to church, which means for Gen Z, it's going to be like 8 to 10% if we're lucky. My daughter's generation, whatever they're going to be called, we're probably going to have to like start back over in the alphabet, Generation AA, like or Generation Internet, or Generation Trump, which is terrifying, right? The number is going to be even lower. Which, like, if we just think logistically for a second, okay, if only 14% of millennials are going to Mass on Sunday, if only 14% of millennials are going to Mass, and that number is going to get lower and lower and lower as time passes, and all those old people who are paying for stuff in the church eventually die, and then there's not any of us actually giving money because there's not any of us actually going, then what the heck's going to happen to the church? Doors are going to close, lights are going to turn off, fewer priests are going to be able to actually do the ministries that they need to do, because they're going to be driving back and forth to all the like parishes that only get Mass one Sunday a month because there's not enough people to keep the lights on every single Sunday. We're facing a crisis, and it's not just the sex abuse nonsense. We're facing a crisis, and it's not just corruption. We're facing a crisis of young people who are not protagonists. We're facing a crisis of young people who don't seem to care that the church is supposed to be home. And we're facing a crisis of young people in the church who treat the church as a corporate entity that's supposed to just give stuff to them rather than the home of which they're a vibrant and active part. Like if I were to go home, so I go to Little Rock tomorrow, speak to high school students, and then I fly home on Monday. I'll get home around noon. And if I showed up at home and my husband picks me up at the airport and I then give him like a list of things that I need him to do for me, and like don't actually like continue to contribute to the life of my family, but I use the home as a place that's just supposed to do for me rather than actually do for my own family and contribute to the operations and movements of my own home life, then I'm going to be a really crappy wife and mom. But my home is a place where I contribute. My home is a place where I feel comfortable and I belong and I know I have a voice and I have a role to play. I'm a protagonist within my home. The crisis that our church faces most fundamentally right now, and you can quote me on this until the end of time, we no longer believe that the church is our home. And it is the place where we are meant to feel welcomed. We are meant to feel like we belong. Where we can confidently walk into the doors of our church parishes, be in community with fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, sit down for dinner with a priest, have a conversation with the bishop, and know that we are seen, that we are known, and that we are loved, because that's what a home is for us. Now, here's the beautiful thing about home. If I were to walk into my parents' house on Tuesday evening, if I go over there for dinner, and I was drunk, or my mom knew that I'd done all these awful, terrible things while I was away in Toronto, I went and had a crazy night downtown, or she knew I'd stolen money from my husband, or she knew that I'd beaten Rose, which would be an awful, terrible thing. Like, my mom wouldn't, like, be like, oh, hey, baby, how's life? Like, she would, if she knew all those crappy things that I had done, she'd sit me down, she'd give me a good talking to, right? Like, at my mom and dad's home, which I can still consider a home to me, I would be corrected if things had gone poorly in my life. I would be told to remedy my ways. I would be challenged to be better than I already am. So home doesn't just mean comfort. Yes, you are comfortable in your home, but you're also challenged in your home, which I think is the other reason why young adults don't come. Because if the church is meant to be home and I'm comfortable with the people that are there, I'm comfortable enough with them that they will push me and they will stretch me to live virtuously. And pushing and stretching to live virtuously means that I might have to change what I'm comfortable doing outside of the home. Does this make sense? Young adults aren't showing up for so many reasons, but they don't think the church is home, even though they know they're loved. The information I was given when we were prepping for this talk was young adults in Toronto know that they're loved, but they don't know what to do with that. Okay, great. You love back. Because it's not supposed to be an unrequited love. The church loves you, the church yearns for you, the church desires you, the church is literally holding a synod talking about you right now and trying to minister to us. I need to love back. I need to return home. When they handed us Rose for the first time, this little tiny human being, this was the look of absolute terror that we as parents had for a long time. First of all, that's not how you're supposed to hold a baby. Just FYI, she looks very distressed. Oh my gosh, look at that little hand. I had no idea what we were doing. And Rose was very sick when she was first born. She was cute and she was cuddly, but she wasn't gaining weight and she was puking all the time. About 3 weeks in, we're home, not sleeping. She's not eating. I feel like a failure. My husband doesn't know what to say to make me feel better. I also don't want to be touched because things hurt, so he can't even hug me because I just feel awful. And one night, she finally fell asleep, for 45 minutes. And there's a lie, FYI, when they say sleep when the baby sleeps, it's BS. Nobody does that. Because your mind is moving 1,000 miles an hour. So she finally fell asleep, and I'm laying next to her, and I'm looking at her in the little sidecar attached to the side of the bed, and then that little which is supposed to tug at a mother's heartstrings, and it just made me mad. So I sit up and I went, my life is over, and I stormed out of the room. And I walked into the bathroom in the hallway. I turned on the shower, and I climbed in the shower fully clothed. I was wearing my pajamas, and I just stood in the shower and I cried. And all of a sudden I hear my husband knock on the door, and he opens up the door and he pokes his head and he goes, "Babe, what do you want me to do?" I was like, "I don't care, feed her." And he went, mine don't work. And then I went, "Neither do mine, apparently." And he shuts the door and he walks away. And I stood in that shower and I cried for 30 minutes. I'm being very vulnerable right now. I just cried, feeling like the failure that I was, feeling like I didn't even belong in my own home, feeling like I wasn't worthy to serve my child, wasn't worthy to be her mother, certainly wasn't worthy to be a wife. Nobody would ever respect me ever again because this kid won't eat, this kid won't sleep, this kid hates me, and I love her, but I don't know why I love her because she hasn't done anything yet, but I love her. Babies are remarkably useless, and they cost a lot of money, but yet we love them. We love them. So I get out of the shower, I go back into the bedroom, they're not there anymore. So now I'm I must have thrown her in the car to drive around the street, because it was the only thing that would keep her calm. And all of a sudden, so I change, I'm dry now, and I hear humming coming from the living room. So I walk into the living room, lights are pitch black, I see him standing in the corner, Tommy holding Rose, just rocking back and forth. And he's humming the Tantum Ergo. So I'm triggered, and I'm like, "Where's the incense? Where's the Jesus?" Because that Catholic, right? None of that's there. It's just Tommy and a screaming kid who's quiet for the first time in her life. And he's just rocking back and forth, and he's holding this little tiny nugget up against his chest. Her butt was out. Baby butts are so cute. Butt's out, and he's just rocking, and he's holding her. And that was the moment he became a dad for me. That moment right there, holding this kid who wasn't crying, even though we weren't feeding her, but she was safe. And that, for me, was the picture of church, where you're pulled close, where you're snuggled in. I know that sounds weird, but the church is meant to snuggle you, y'all. Where just for that brief moment, he was able to provide for her the comfort and the security. He was able to provide for her the sense of, I'm supposed to be here, I belong. The church is our home. And we invite people to our home. We go home. We contribute to our home. We matter when we're home. And the church is not who it's meant to be We, as the body of Christ, are missing our parts if young adults in this stage of life, with our ideas and our creativity and our vibrancy, if we are not running to the church, if we are not rushing to the church as the place where we most belong. I had the incredible privilege of speaking to the USCCB earlier this year about the Synod. And it was live streamed, and so my husband put it on the television screen while I was out of town. And I don't know if you can see her little head right there, but that's my daughter looking up at me, admiring her mommy on the screen. And do we have the video? Did we get it to work? No, yes, no, yes, okay. This is how we should be with the church. We were able to synthesize and summarize the thoughts of 300 young people from around the world and present our ideas in a succinct, straightforward,
Go get mommy.
and hopefully helpful way to the Pope and the Synod Fathers. The document produced speaks to a variety of experiences and opinions, and it offers a perspective that is honest, authentic, and in some cases, challenging. The goal of the document, which has been disputed in some circles and questioned in others, is to provide insight.
She had to get to mommy.
Honest perspective of those under 30.
And when I FaceTime her when I'm on the road, she does the exact same thing. She runs to the little screen where my face is and then licks it, because that's how Rose kisses things. She licks it. It's awesome. Makes you feel like $1 million when your kid licks you. She knows that with mommy and daddy, who are still very confused, who don't always necessarily approach things the right way, but who are doing our absolute best and are giving her all that we have, that she is safe with us. I don't have a magic bullet to fix the crisis of the church. I really don't. And I don't know the solutions that I think I want from the Synod on young people right now, other than to say that people under 30 should be on parish councils and designing websites and bulletins. I think that's like an immediate need, like right away. And I've been tweeting it like every day. But I do know this. I do know that the only way the church will survive is if we go home. And if we bring people to our home. And if we're comfortable to be there. And we're unafraid to contribute. And we see that this is the place not only where we belong, but the place that will make us who we're meant to be in life. The young adults of the world that aren't going to church, that aren't going to Mass, that do not see the church as home, think that their happiness will come from bottomless mimosas at brunch. I think the happiness will come in relationships based purely on looks and pleasure. Or that their joy in life will be found in the successes that they have in the professional world. And none of those things are bad. I'm all about bottomless mimosas, and I'm all about brunch. And I'm all about people that I enjoy being around, and I'm all about making sure that I'm not in debt. But I'm also all about becoming a saint. And the only place that's going to happen is at the church. The only place that's going to happen is with other men and women who are part of the body of Christ. And the only way that the world is going to be filled with saints is if we saints go to the church. If we saints in the making go home. I have 2 homework assignments for you, and they're very simple. The first is make some noise. Yesterday or Thursday, what's today, Saturday? Thursday, at the Synod, Pope Francis came into the Synod Hall, the aula, and there's 300 bishops that sit in the front, and the 45 auditors, so the young people, the lay men and women who are participating in the Synod are kind of in the back. And they've apparently been hooping and hollering during some of the different bishops' speeches, in a respectful way, but when they like things, they hoop, they give them a good thumbs up whoop, and when they don't like things, they groan. I doubt Paul VI ever imagined that would happen in the Synod process, but good for them, right? And so Pope Francis apparently walked into the Synod Hall, and he saw some of the young adults, just kind of mingling around back there before things got started. So he climbed the stairs. And if you've ever seen Pope Francis walk, he is not a very confident walker. So he's climbing the steps one by one, hiking up his white little cassock, climbing the steps one by one, this old Argentinian man. And he gets up there and he starts shaking hands with the young adults and hugging them and smiling and asking questions and answering questions. And he said to them, and I got this from the auditor from the U.S. as a friend of mine, and we're texting back and forth, and he said he told us to keep making noise and to keep making a mess. And he said that we should tell all of our friends to do the same. Go tick off your parish priest and make some noise and make a mess. Tell them what you need as a young adult. Sorry, fathers. Tell them what you yearn for. If you have an idea, then make it happen. Don't say, like, we should do, and then not volunteer. Show up and help wash the dishes at home. Show up and help build the fence at home. Show up and repaint the front door at home because it's your home. You have every right to be there. You have every right to make that noise. You have every right to make that mess. The second thing is bring a friend. Bring a friend. There's 14%. Let's make it 28%. It's only going to happen if you grab another person. It's only going to happen if you articulate and witness in that unapologetically joyful way what the church has done for you and why you love your home. Everybody has their favorite part about their home. Mine's my couch, the right side all the way. It's right where my butt fits. Oh, it's so great. And I can reach my drink on the table perfectly. It's like the perfect distance. I've got a good view of, it's like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. I've got a perfect view of the television, and I can see the kitchen as well, and I can like keep Rose from like leaving the room. I can block it with my foot. That's my spot. I feel comfortable there. I want to be there. It's where I want to return at the end of a long weekend. That's what the church should be for us, the place where we want to return, the spot where we feel most ourselves, and where we're unafraid to bring other people and show them this is what's beautiful about my home, and I want you to experience it too. The young adults are right here. Just go find another person that should be double the size next year, triple the year after that. And that 14% will become 28%. And I can't do math, so I'm not going to add another 14. But that number is going to keep growing if we come home and bring other people with us. Amen? All right, pray that my cab driver gets me to the airport on time. It was so wonderful to be with you all. Thank you so much.